Coming up on today's episode of the More Than Sunday podcast.
You look at the Sabbath as you make reference, and you look in the Old Testament. What's really cool as they had the law had rules around the Sabbath, and in there you saw that they would have to prepare for the Sabbath. The Sabbath wasn't stumble into, I'll use the word Saturday, and collapse and try to recover. No, your whole life was built around to coming into rest and then coming out of rest.
Right, and then you live from it.
Right, but we do not do that. We've bought the world's message. And literally, I'll say this, absolutely literally, we're killing ourselves and we're killing our relationships. We're killing our spiritual lives for that pursuit. And I'll tell you right now, it will never deliver what it promises you. And I look around me and the people I love that I call family, I'm watching chasing something we call the dream. That's really a nightmare.
Welcome to the More Than Sunday podcast with lead pastor Scott Harris and your host Josh Rogers. Each episode, we aim to have honest conversations around daily living as a follower of Jesus outside of a church building. Thanks for joining us. Let's start the conversation.
Scotty G!
Hey,
Good
More
to see
Than
you,
Sunday.
man.
I'm excited.
Yep. This is becoming new Friday morning, every other Friday morning rhythm.
Yes.
How are you feeling about it so far?
I like it. Like I said before, podcast, just the age I'm at and stuff is not a major force in my world. And so I was like, I'm not sure what this is, but what I've enjoyed is what our goal is to create conversations and get a sense that I'm having conversations with other people. So it has sparked cool conversation. I mean, funny ones a lot of times, right? I mean, Mountain Dew, skinny jeans. I've been called Sparkles, or Sprinkles, excuse me. Sparkle, maybe that's the next one. Sprinkles. So anyway, just
New nickname unlocked.
Oh yeah,
Sparkles.
Oh yeah. So it's so that's good because again, if there's something that you said, hey, let's do this. A word I'd describe it. It's more than Sunday, our Christian walk. It's real, it's authentic, it's genuine, and let's build friendship around that. So anyway, I'm really grateful for you for that.
Awesome. Yeah, dude. I heard feedback this week from someone that they feel like they 100% feel like they know you better.
Yeah, and of course that scares me.
Of course it does.
I'm a unique guy, so.
But I mean, that's cool feedback. It feels like that's ticking a box that we're trying to do. Like part of this is unashamedly to create place for people to hear real Scott, just you doing you.
Yeah.
And not that you're not real any other time, but this is just not. There's not as much of a time limit. It's looser. It's more conversational.
Yeah.
So I hope people get to hear things that they didn't know about you.
Yeah, I love that. And,
including nicknames and fashion tips.
Well, we've talked about it. One of my core values is authenticity.
Yeah.
And we're just our friendship and stuff. And that's I want that to be true of my ministry. And we all know when you hear someone from a pulpit, you don't know if you're just getting kind of the Christian jingle or the Sunday kind of poser as we talked about. And the ability to say, you know what, that guy up there is the guy that's here. That's the guy that's home. I mean, I am me, and that's really important to me. So anyway, I love it. So, I'm getting used to it. So thank you for watching, those that do, and Josh and Corbin and team. Thanks.
Yeah. Have you heard any other feedback so far?
I'm surprised that people listen. Just start there, right? I mean. I am not my biggest fan, right? It's like, and I don't think there's but I think people, part of the family, right? Listen, so I'll be walking and someone got a little heat last week about skinny jeans. So if you love skinny jeans, I apologize. So got a little heat from that. So
and to clarify, we were talking about men's fashion.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. So, So it was from the women. I'm going to be honest with you. That was speaking nothing to women and their trends.
We can't even touch that. We're trying to figure out our own way with Old Navy and leading the way.
Yeah, and that was kind of what unfolded there is I am in a constant fashion dilemma, right? And I have no fashion, so I'm just trying to do this. I don't even know. So, ladies, you do you. I'm good, right? So, nothing against you in fashion. So if I say anything, so I got a little heat there. Got caught with the vest, and that was another thing.
Yep.
And they used the word poofy, and it was my thin poofy vest, and they identified that. So
understanding the thickness levels.
Oh yeah, that's the thing. So so now it was fun. It was fun to joke around with some people from our church in that manner.
Yeah, I love it. I have a confession.
Oh.
There are a lot of weeks that I'm terrible at adulting. And if anyone is around me for much time at all, the amount of times that I lose things is just, it's frustrating. Ooh. And so this week we had a meeting in the family room, and I left and immediately forgot all the things that I left in there. So 2 days later, Kristen in the business office came and found me, and I knew I couldn't find my water bottle, so she brought that, but my iPad was there too. Ooh. I didn't even know it was gone. So what I've discovered is if I take more than like 2 days off and I'm out of rhythm, it is like clockwork, dude. I lose my keys in my wallet every single time. Oh. Because I have this like normal rhythm of setting them, on the record player or like in a pocket of a coat. Yes. And my ability to keep track of things is very low.
Yes. Got bad news for you.
Yeah.
It gets worse.
I know.
Right? But there's some old guy hacks. I can help you out early.
Dude, I'm open to it.
Oh, dude. I can't remember what they're called, but they're not iPods. What are those little
the little
chips?
AirTags?
AirTags, that's it.
Oh my gosh. So multiple people, we're obviously filming this in part of our office.
Yeah. Secrets
out. Multiple people in this very office have been like, Josh, you should just expense AirTags.
Oh, dude.
For all of your stuff.
Oh, good. So my wallet, got ready? Come on. It's about the size of a credit card, AirTag, right, that I put in my wallet. So I know where my wallet is, right. And it sends a little chirping sound if I need to. If I get too far away from it, it says, hey, you've left your wallet. So before I get in the car, it tells me my car keys all have the AirTags.
Yep.
I'm just about to do the water bottle because I lose water bottles like crazy.
See, I think this has to push it over the edge for me.
Yeah.
I think I've heard it. Corbin is my witness. He knows how many times we've talked about this. I think it's time. I think I have to become an AirTag person.
Okay. Well, let me check in. Old dudes that lose everything, and we have to get systems. We put things in the same place every time. Can we let a young man in?
Please.
I think there's grace. I think you can come into the club.
I need help. My name is Josh, and I need help.
AirTag. Yeah, you AirTag everything.
I lose everything.
Oh, dude. So I'm a huge AirTag fan. So.
All right. AirTags.
AirTag.
I'm going to try it. There's accountability now.
There it is.
I'm going to do it. I forgot. I got a Mountain Dew for you, dude.
Oh, yes. I've heard about this, too. Now, here's the deal. I'm kind of like Pavlov's dog now because I love these, but I don't drink them very much because no offense to PepsiCo company, but these aren't the healthiest things.
What?
Okay? I know. They could have the unwell tag to them.
That's
right?
fair, yeah.
But I do love them. So this is where I get these now. So boy, you keep these coming, and I will do whatever you need me to do, okay?
Perfect. Excellent. Man, what is something going on, kind of a behind-the-scenes type of a question? What's something going on with you or with ministry that you're just excited about, that you're maybe working on or looking forward to? What's something that's fueling you right now?
Yeah. I tell you what's stoking my fire, as a pastor, a shepherd, your greatest joy comes from spiritual movement. So I'd just say this, we've been doing this Rise series, and watching the church respond is humbling.
Yeah, it's been
right?
cool.
Because sometimes you're like, whoa, you're kind of with us. Because no offense to, a lot of times you feel like, boy, there's a church here, you get up and give messages and stuff, but I've really seen movement.
Yeah.
And so I tell you, there's nothing that makes my sleep sweeter than just knowing, hey, we're doing this together, because I believe church is family, and that feels good. So I love that. And I've been in a place of just thanking Jesus for that, because it brings me a lot of just real personal joy. So I think that piece of it is cool. A Sabbath is on the horizon. I've been in full-time ministry 29 years. I've never had a Sabbath. So there's some conversations of that. So that is...
you need to air tag that Sabbath so you can find it.
Quick. Yeah, because, just this morning I was wrestling with the Lord. Well, maybe I won't do it. So that's that challenge, right? So right now it's just, I love the church. I love our staff. I'm watching some things in our staff that's really special. And I think, and people watch this, so kind of watch and look. You'll start seeing the some waking ups, if you would. But I think there's some skill sets that are helping other skill sets come to the surface. I believe in a matter of months, weeks, you're just going to see some cool things from Northshore, because of all you staff. There's and this is one of them right here. We're sitting right here. Look around. This is designed by you guys. It's crazy. It's cool. I mean, it's awesome. The technology, and Corbin, and the people out there can't see what I see, but I mean, there are lights and cameras all around, and that's just a skill set of what God's brought here. So I think there's some really cool things in our near future.
That's awesome. I loved you shared like a bit of that with the staff the other day, of just feeling fueled and encouraged by seeing the church responding in a bit of a unique way this series. We have rehearsal on Thursday nights for Sunday for worship team. And so last night at rehearsal, I was talking to our team and just encouraging them. We're in a position where like inviting the church to respond is something we do all the time, because it's just kind of part of the gig. I mean, we're not trying to play songs cool so that people like them. We're not trying to just like pull it off or whatever. We want to create moments and spaces where people can be invited into response and engaging with God, right? But it was cool, kind of based on that. I felt like I wanted to give them an encouragement of like, there are years and years under the belt of some of these team members doing that, and just kind of a charge to like, don't give up, like just keep going, keep driving, keep pushing, let's keep inviting. But that also takes each other, family, right, caring for each other. Yep. And so I'm just really proud of that team, and their authenticity and putting their heart and time on the line. And I'm excited to continue to see where we go from here.
Yeah. So I'm in the same boat. So I love to hear that. I mean, that's an encouragement, and because we live in the ministry. It reminds me of my sports time, in coaching sports. So much of what the focus is what you're doing wrong and what you could do better.
Yep.
Because you're pursuing something. Ministry is exactly like that. We spend most of our time fielding questions and comments of how we can improve.
Yeah.
I mean, that's probably 90% of the comments we would get, right?
Oh, for sure.
Because when something's good, as humans, we just don't say anything.
Yeah.
We're simply satisfied. So you don't hear from critical mass.
Well, it's interesting that you say that too, because that's a bit of a like behind the scenes comment that maybe not everyone knows.
Right.
That is part of a reality of what we do with these Sunday experiences, is that, there's a giant chunk of what we do that's responding to feedback about what could be better.
Yeah, exactly. And that's an important piece of the story. I mean, so you don't want to eliminate that, because we are a family, so those opinions matter. But as someone that's employed and called, and even our volunteers that are highly called to lead, that can weigh on you heavy.
Sure.
Right. And so you're responding from that. And let's use Sunday as an example. There's never a perfect Sunday.
Oh, for sure.
Right? My messages could be better. Everything. There's all these little things could be better. So you never execute a perfect Sunday, just like a sporting event, right?
Yeah.
And when you're coaching, there's never a perfect thing. There's always something to improve. So the focus goes on that. So what we're talking about is to be able to stop and say, wait, God, you are who you say you are.
Yeah.
You are working. There is good. And yes, there's some things to continue to improve, to listen, to grow, to adjust, to change. Hearing these things, it brings joy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And as both you and I know, we say these comments. There's things we know need to improve, things that we want to improve on, and
Sure.
to continue to bring our offering, our best to the Lord.
Right.
Yeah.
When I was in worship school, one of my mentors, Aaron Keyes, said, as he was just talking about the rhythm of being a worship pastor, he said, as a worship pastor, one good Sunday doesn't make you, and one bad Sunday doesn't break you.
Yeah.
And that's not to say that actually it's 3, not 1, but it's a like meta level thought of this is a long-term journey that you go on as a church family, as a local house of worship. And there's going to be highs and lows and peaks and valleys, but it's not based on we've arrived because we had a great Sunday.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And there's good things in there, and we want to do it, but Monday comes.
Yep.
And so we keep living and we keep walking and abiding, and that's always been something that has been encouraging on the hard ones.
Absolutely, yeah. And we see that, so it's always good to keep that perspective because it keeps a balance. But I say in this is it's the joy of the calling, So anyway,
yeah, and not unique
it.
to North Shore in any way. I mean, that's.
Well, some of it's human nature.
Yeah.
Some of it, like I said, I used the sports analogy. It's true there. It's true Sundays. And then we could start inserting the whole idea of, spiritual warfare that takes place in our spiritual offerings.
Sure.
The enemy of God does not want us to succeed.
Sure.
Right?
Yep.
And
Yep.
so if you take ground, guess what? The enemy takes notice.
Yeah.
But luckily we serve and point to the victor, so we don't live in fear of that. But we definitely acknowledge it.
Yep. Dude, speaking of sports.
Yeah.
Can we talk about the hockey game last night?
Yes. You guys, I don't know when this is going to post, but that was I think that might have been the best hockey game I've ever watched, regardless of who won.
I mean, that was cooler than the Super Bowl was.
The Super Bowl was really bad.
Yeah. But, I mean, just even it was amazing. So it's the first time the NHL has done something like this.
Yeah.
All-Star break weekend, all the major 4 sports have that, right?
Yeah.
But generally all of them, the All-Star break stinks. And
well, they're becoming a joke, right?
Well, right. So they're trying to figure out what to do. So NHL was like, what if we do a best-on-best international play tournament? Mm-hmm. A really short round robin. And so it was U.S., Canada, Sweden, and Finland. And out of the gate, all of the ex-players and announcers and everything were like, oh, this is bigger than we thought it was. Yeah. The players came out just smashing each other.
Well, literally. Right? Yeah, literally. Yeah. You know what we're alluding to if you saw it. Wow.
Yeah. But the energy in TD Garden for that game last night was intense.
Yes. Yeah, and it was. Yeah, and there's so much going on there. Great hockey game. Great involvement.
Hockey game.
And I mean, even in a world platform, there is a reorientation of sportsmanship.
Yeah.
And I love that. So,
yep. And I think hockey does that really well.
Yes. Yeah. There's something I just read before I came in here about the teams after the game,
Yeah.
And how they handled each other in a sportsmanlike way. I love that, because it makes you say, okay, humankind, we can do this.
We can figure out how to be nice to each other.
We can figure that out. So no, I'm with you. I could talk way too long, but I'm hyped. That was a great hockey game.
It was phenomenal. Well, and it's a primer. Winter Olympics is coming just next year.
Yes.
I mean, you heard it here first. Get ready.
Yes.
The hockey at Winter Olympics is going to be wild.
Yes. Well, I love it. And our silver tips.
Silver tips, come
They're
on.
really good, yes. Yeah, so they what are they ranked 1 or 2 in the whole Western Hockey League and even the Canadian Hockey League. So
That's so sick.
So silver tips, go tips.
I love that. Let's talk about rest.
Yes.
So, we talk about some like behind the scenes being a pastor and what does rest look like for you at this stage of life? Like we could look at like what it has been, what it could be, but what does it look like for you right now, just where you're at?
Yeah. Man, there's a couple elements. I would say this, and maybe, see, we always get so heavy, so I got to be, so guide me away from heavy because I just go there. Very first thing, command. It's a command, right? So if you're asking me when the word rest comes to, you say that word, well, I think of the Hebrew word, Sabbath, which is translated to rest.
Yeah.
Right. So right away that goes there is like, okay,
Yeah.
we got a command in it, and it's really important to God how we were created and designed. So it starts there. So if the other fork is Scott Harris, 2025, what does rest look like to you?
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you right now, we're talking weeks into improvement. I spent most of my adult life sleeping 4 hours a night.
Yeah.
Sometimes none, if I'm being honest with you. And so I would say right now, I'm just discovering some things, trying to put things in better alignment. And there's a lot that goes into that.
Sure,
but I would say
rhythms and different things you do. And
the things I know,
Yeah.
books I've read, and it's a real important topic to me. In fact, my first sermon here, North Shore, I'm sure you all remember it, right? I'm sure. Ken asked me, our previous pastor, hey, will you preach? Okay. And he said, can I give you 2 weeks in a row? You do a little mini series and anything you want. Okay. And I did it on margin, which is a part of aspect of rest, because that was what was really in my heart.
Yeah.
And has been for a long time. So anyway, I'd just say this is I'm a recovering non-rester. I don't know if those are right words, but that's what I am.
Well, yeah, I think we can trademark recovering
Let's
non-rester.
do it.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting that you went right to the Sabbath, because I was thinking about it. I mean, I knew we were going to, discuss this as a potential topic. And so I was thinking about it. And my first thought was, I don't know how to talk about rest without talking about the Sabbath. Mm-hmm. What's interesting, though, and I mean, there was amazing things about how I was raised and had so many opportunities and amazing leaders and different things. It's interesting. Just the practice of the Sabbath wasn't something I really knew about. Mm-hmm. Was that something once you got saved? I know you didn't grow up in a Christian home, but once you got saved, how long before that kind of became a topic of conversation? Yeah.
Can I tell you a story?
Sure.
Okay.
We need a stinger for that.
Yeah. Ding, ding, ding.
Yeah.
Story time is my life's about stories, but it's important. So Sandy and I married, had a child. I was a full-time student at Eastern Washington University. So was she. I had 2 other jobs outside of that, plus work study. So I had 3 jobs, full-time student, married with a child. That was my world. She had, full-time student, a child at home. Obviously, I was gone a lot with those jobs, but also she was the manager of the apartment buildings, married student housing at Eastern Washington University, over by the barn when they first built it. Sandy and I were the managers. Go Eagles. So I am, actually, this is not even counting in the job count, but it was a break from school. So I returned to my job that I did in high school and stuff, and at the Forest Service. So I'm there working in a school break, and a country western song comes on. Here we go. Good things are going to come. Country music's in. Is by Alabama, and I think the title is "I'm in a Hurry," right? And the tagline is "I'm in a hurry and I don't know why." And that song came on. I was way up in the woods. It was playing on the radio. I was doing some work around the vehicle, and it just hit me. And I'm a fairly young believer, a couple years into my faith, starting to understand godly rhythms and spiritual health and these things. And I surveyed my life there and said, what am I chasing? Because what I was getting my degree for at that time, I didn't want to be.
Yeah.
I was just in school because that's what the smart kids did.
Yeah.
Right. So mom and dad, they were proud of me and didn't know what else to do. So I was getting an education. Right.
Yep.
Sandy was in the same boat. I had 3 jobs. I never saw my family. Right. And of course, they got the worst of me when I showed up because I was tired and had homework.
Yeah.
Right. And I didn't know what I was chasing. And I learned there from starting to understand God about this idea of rest, that who I am created to be as a Christ follower. I was actually chasing really the world's dreams. And so I got home that night and said, I got to talk to you. And I said, I heard this song at this time. It was in the afternoon. And I told her about it. And she goes, I heard that same song at that same time.
Huh.
And I told her my thoughts. I said, I think we're chasing nothing. And we're killing everything we're supposed to be. She goes, that's exactly what I thought. And we just asked each other this question, what are we doing? What are we doing? And that was the first time. And now, 30 some years later, 35, maybe 40 years later, I have a deeper biblical understanding of stuff. But I would say that's when it's, that God grabbed our hearts right there. It's like, let's stop chasing nothing and the world's values.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. And I think, for me, it's really been a journey over the last, really since I've been in Washington, I feel like, learning the Sabbath, but one of the key elements that shifted my thinking on rest big time was that Sabbath was made for the man, not man for the Sabbath.
Powerful teaching of Jesus, right?
Yeah. So when you can switch your way of thinking of this is something I have to do to something that's a gift for me, it really changes how you think about what that day is.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to lie and say it's not actually really hard to do that. We've been practicing the Sabbath now for a couple of years with, I would say, mixed results.
Yeah.
Some days we're like, all right, that kind of didn't feel like it checked that box or whatever. And then other times it's great. But that idea is the idea I still pursue of, if this is a gift for me from God himself, this was his plan, I want to know what he has in it.
Yep.
I want to know what he has in it. And, I would say I would put myself in a similar camp. I don't rest excellently. I'm learning that. Honestly, my sabbatical was a massive aha of that. For the majority of working here at Northshore, I've only really taken 1 day off. And I, shifted that this year, and I'm a driver. I like to go and keep working hard, and but that's been big for our family to start exploring that gift that the Lord has there of Sabbath. And not understand that it's not as simple as I take time off, but that it's almost like an adventure to explore with him.
Yes.
Because it's so layered. I mean, it is as early as anything else. I mean, on the 7th day he rested.
Yes.
This was baked into his creation and design. Yes. And that was not in my worldview. It wasn't in my way of thinking. And it's been very helpful and fruitful to explore that.
Yeah, and you look at the Sabbath as you make reference, and you look in the Old Testament. What's really cool is, they had, the law had rules around the Sabbath. And in there, you saw that they would have to prepare for the Sabbath, right? So to get the rest that they needed, there was a discipline and a practice they had to do. So the Sabbath wasn't stumble into, I'll use the word Saturday,
Right.
and collapse and try to recover. No, your whole life was built around to coming into rest and then coming out of rest.
Right. And then you live from it.
Right.
Yeah.
And most of us have tasted that a little bit, and we know it's the best us that goes into that and comes out of that. But we do not do that. We've bought the world's message. And literally, I'll say this, absolutely literally, we're killing ourselves and we're killing our relationships. We're killing our spiritual lives for that pursuit. And I'll tell you right now, it will never deliver what it promises you. Right? And so, obviously I can get charged up. It's really, really important because as a pastor, I watch it and I look around me and the people I love that I call family, I'm watching chasing something we call the dream.
Yeah.
That's really a nightmare.
Sure. Wow. Yeah, that's well said. I know what comes to mind for me as you say that, just thinking of a couple authors I love writing on the topic of Sabbath and just this reality that can be so complicated and yet can be so simple. God has set up a system for living that's not intended to be this do this or you'll be punished. It's not a marching orders. It's if you want to know how, sports analogy, these are the rules of the game. Come play the game the way I intended, right? And then the reality with this, that if we don't do that, if we play by a different set of rules, we still somehow expect to be joyful.
Yeah.
And it's just gotten so much clearer for me in the last few years. Like, Josh, what are you doing? Right. Like you're trying to come up with your own set of rules and then wondering why you don't feel joyful.
Yeah.
Like that doesn't work.
Right.
Like the rhythm of life is not mine to determine,
Right.
but so much of my life I've been the master of that.
Yes.
I've determined it and then been like, well, why do I not feel very joyful? Like, well, it's not that, Josh, it's not that complicated.
No. Well, our thing is, we don't practice what we preach. So I know this. So you're a father. You have young kids. I'm going to guarantee every evening at a certain time, whatever it is, there's a battle that ensues.
Oh my
and it's
gosh.
called bedtime.
Yep.
Right? Parents, why do you fight that battle? Why don't you just lay back? It'd be easier if you didn't fight the battle. Say, go to bed whenever you want.
It'd be easier until the next day.
Right. You just said it. Because you know something.
Yeah.
You know something about these kids you love and their health and their fulfillment and their vitality and what life could provide for them if they are rested. And so you go to war every single day for this principle.
Yep.
And I'm not accusing you, I'm going to put us, but we turn around and we don't live it.
Totally.
Right? So that's our Father. He does this too. I mean, he loves us so much, and you alluded to it. It's a gift for us. It's given to us because God created us and designed us, and we are designed to be people that rest and are restored and refueled and reflect on all the things that Sabbath and Sabbath rhythm bring us.
Yeah, that's good, man. It's encouraging to me even just to sit and talk about it, because it's not a cultural norm. It can feel lonely and isolating to pursue the Sabbath.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not even within the church. I mean, there's beautiful intentions everywhere. This isn't like a derogatory statement, but it's just not really been the norm.
Well, what we're talking about is countercultural.
Yeah.
Right. We're saying, as followers of Jesus, we've been given a gift. And the world does not live by those rules.
Right.
And so we've got to be radical countercultural in this thing, if we're going to do it.
Yep. Yeah. It's helpful for me to just hear someone else even talk about it. It's like, oh yeah, there's other, like, I'm not alone. I'm not crazy. Right. And I think it can feel that way sometimes when you're up against the weight of the wave of the rest of culture pushing a different direction. And this idea of rest and busyness is rampant. I mean, we're all just running so hard, hard.
Well, and then Paul, talks to Timothy about this. So I use it a bit out of context, but not really, not totally. But we got to fight the good fight. This is a faith fight.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah. That's good.
And so, like I said, you fight it every day, and and me too, right? So I'm not talking, okay, I've mastered this, do what I do. Maybe what I've done the last couple of weeks, but I'm learning too.
Oh, dude.
We've got to fight this because it's worth it.
Yeah. Cool. On a journey.
I love it.
Learning to rest.
Yes.
To kind of wrap up, our question for just quick question to discuss at the end. If you could choose anywhere in the world to vacation, where would you choose? Before you answer, remember that you can submit questions to Corbin. Remind me the email. More Than Sunday, Northshore Christian. More Than Sunday at northshorechristian.org. Send us some questions and some topics, things you want us to talk about or riff on. Scott, where would you want a vacation?
All right. Boy, if I'm just going to be forced to isolate to one place, it would have to be, it's a certain cabin in Twisp, Washington. And I don't know how much time we have. I have a story with it. So you guys can decide. Okay. Story?
Yes.
Okay. I have a story for you. So I have a friend from Orcas, so generous, who built this cabin in Twisp, Washington. Overlooks the Twisp rivers. You see just multiple mountain ranges. It's just amazing. And he's generous. He lets me use it like it's mine, and since my girls were little, right?
That's so cool.
I know, it's so cool. And again, you could, for years you couldn't get any internet. Now I can get just a little bit, but before, no internet. We would play music. I can't even think of the name right now. But you just play kind of some old cabin music. It has this seat, window seat that we sit in and we just read, right? And the girls would play and they would read. And so
I've seen pictures from this window.
Oh, dude, it's incredible.
It's ridiculous.
And so
it's so cool.
So our girls, got busy in life and then got, married, moved out, and then the economy kind of shuttered, so he rented it out for us. So it was like 8 or 9 years that we didn't go to it.
Oh, wow.
So then, everything rebalanced. So he said, cabin's open again. So we got to go back. So it's funny. I walk in, so we drive there. It's just Sandy night. And, that whole idea, I can just, those memories. So I walk in, and I'm not a big crier, so I walk in about, 6, 7 steps into this thing, and I just remember my girls, our time, this beauty, this rest that we had.
Wow.
I start weeping, and I apologize for this. I'm a little embarrassed, so I don't want to look Sandy in the eye. So I keep turned away from her, and we're supposed to be bringing stuff in, so I'm stopping there, and I'm crying, pretty hard actually. And then I feel her kind of come up next to me, just kind of stand there. So we're just both standing there looking at this window seat. I'm trying not to glance this way, but, Sandy, I got it. So I take a peek over there, and just tears are running down her eyes. And we just hugged and just wept, right? That's how life-giving that space is for us. So I would say it's not like every time I drive to Twisp I have that experience, right? It's that cabin and that space is life-giving. So when I need to Sabbath, I need to be grounded, that's my place.
Wow. That was a really good answer.
Yeah.
I have an answer, but
some beat somewhere.
I don't have a story
that
goes
too.
with it.
You know me, way too many stories.
I don't know. I mean, this may be a lesser known thing about me,
Let's
but
go.
I'm kind of a foodie.
I know.
And I love cooking. And
I didn't know that.
I would love to go to a couple places in Europe, specifically Paris, and eat at a few Michelin star restaurants. I just think that would be the coolest trip.
What? Michelin? What's that?
Michelin star?
I don't know what that is.
Oh,
I know Michelin tires.
Well, yeah. So it started as, let's see how much time we got. All right, I'll tell it really quick. And
Okay,
then
we'll
we'll
have
wrap
stories.
up. So it started, man, in the early 1900s. Michelin Tires, it's this company.
Okay, I'm in.
Yeah, they started basically like a tourist guide.
Okay.
And how it worked is if it was 1 star, it was worth like knowing about or something like that. 2 stars was like it's worth pulling over in your trip, and then 3 stars is it's worth like planning a whole trip around.
Whoa.
So it turned into this ranking system that is the most prestigious ranking system in all of cooking, in all of restaurants around the world.
No idea.
I mean, it's
love
interesting because you're like, you think initially that can't have anything to do with tires, but literally it has everything to do with tires.
Yeah.
I don't think they print those guides anymore, but there's a team that still each year gives out Michelin stars. And once you're a Michelin starred restaurant, you have to continue to maintain those. You can lose the stars. But it's this very prestigious level of cooking and innovation in the culinary arts, new types of cooking and techniques and different ways to do things. But I'm fascinated by it, and I would love to go eat at a really nice place.
I like that. I actually didn't know about that. That's cool for you.
There you go.
Cook. All right. I'm going to
Michelin
have you over
stars.
for dinner, and you'll be the cook.
There we go.
There we go.
Let's do it. We'll start doing some cooking segments on the podcast.
I love it.
Yeah.
Listen, when I'm down here, I'm going to search the internet on Michelin.
Do it.
I'm going to try to find this whole star thing and see if I can. Well, I wonder if we have any 2 or 3 stars around our area.
I think there might be one in Seattle, but I'm not positive. But
Okay.
people who are listening are going to know. And they'll
Imagine
be like,
kinda-
yeah, there's definitely one.
What's the highest rating? Like 5,
No, 3.
3.
3 is the highest.
Oh, 3. Okay.
Yeah.
Probably can't afford that, huh? I need to.
I mean, some of the things get weird, but we are very out of time.
I love
so.
it. I'm sorry. No more stories.
Love you, dude.
Love you too. Love you guys.
Hey, 2 weeks from now, let's do it again.
I like that.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of the More Than Sunday podcast. The easiest way to stay connected with us is to follow or subscribe on whatever podcast platform you are using. If this episode was impactful for you, leave a comment or review below. We would love to hear from you. This podcast is hosted by Northshore Christian Church. We have services in Everett at 8:30 and 10:30 a.m. and would love to see you there.